Thursday, May 4th, 2017, Monaco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. So this is an early market update, and I want to have a look especially at gold and the Japanese yen. I know precious metals have been hit hard for the last couple of weeks or so, or 3 weeks almost now, since the middle of April. And I'm going to touch upon quickly on cryptocurrencies. They're really surging ahead like a rocket. You know, Bitcoin, as I speak now, is at 1544. Yeah, it's a good feeling for people who have cryptocurrencies. I have some as well. Not as much as I have, you know, the precious metals. And I don't mind that. And one thing I would say about the move in cryptocurrencies is when things feel really good, you might want to think about maybe taking a little bit of profit into your national currency, be whatever they are, you know, basically the currencies that you can actually spend, you know, buy things and spend money easily in. Yeah, and vice versa, when things are feeling a little down, maybe it's the time to add on to your positions. And of course, it all depends if you're a trader, if you're saving in cryptocurrencies, if you're an investor, if you want to call yourself an investor. If you're saving for the long term, there's no reason to get out of you know, cryptocurrencies, no reason to get out of precious metals, you know, physical gold and silver. Trading is something, you know, different. So as I speak here, it's around almost 9:30 a.m. London, so 4:30 a.m. in New York, or Eastern Daylight Time. Gold this morning, 1236, so we're down about 2 from last night. The low has been 1233, the high 1241.50. Silver is up, actually up 5 cents at 1651. The range's been 1639 to 1665. The Dow is up 27 points at 20,980. The dollar, as per the dollar index, is 99.20, so almost unchanged. Yeah, since the top in gold on April 17th, the dollar index has come from like above 100 at around 100.29, and we're now at 99.20. And you might ask, you know, how come, you know, the dollar's been coming down and gold's coming down? It usually, you know, when the dollar comes down, gold goes up. But this time what's happened is that the Japanese yen is cushioned the dollar's drop against mainly against the euro and the British pound. The Japanese yen has dropped quite a bit, or the dollar has gone up. And I'll talk about that a little later when I look at the charts of gold and Japanese yen. Yeah. What else? Bond markets. Yesterday we had the Fed announcement. No press conference or anything, but it looks like they're definitely going to raise again, you know, in June, and maybe even another time later this year. So Treasuries, the yields in the 10-year spiked up very little. We're still at 233, so not moving that much. There's some kind of support at 230, so we're above that level. So technically it means it's bearish for bond prices at the moment. But and in the 30-year, there's a very key level around 3% yield. We're right now at 298. We've tried to get back above this level recently, but it's dropped back. There's an announcement by the U.S. Treasury a day or two ago that they met with the primary dealers, the people who you know, sell the stuff for them, you know, the paper, the JP Morgans, Goldman Sachs's, you know, Citigroups of the world. And they said that they weren't keen on, you know, 50-year treasuries. U.S. Treasury Secretary Mnuchin had proposed that it would be a good thing for the U.S. to borrow, in 50-year paper, but it looks like there isn't any interest. So that would have probably hurt a little bit the 30-year, because you would have drawn people more to the 50-year. But as there's no appetite for that kind of paper, there's been a little bit of a bid in the 30-year bond, or the long bond, and the yield has dropped below 3%. I worked in the bond markets for over 20 years, and I can say right now there isn't really any, doesn't seem to be too much volatility and uncertainty. It looks really calm right now, so nothing really to see there at the moment in the bond market. So now I want to talk about the Japanese yen and gold. And I've spoken in previous videos, maybe a week or about 10 days ago, on how the Japanese yen is a carry trade currency. And by that I mean that it's a currency you can borrow at 0% in order to take the proceeds of that loan and buy riskier assets. So when the Japanese yen is going up in value, it gets costlier to borrow in that currency, because you borrow at 10, let's say at $10, and then, or 10 yen, let's say you borrow at 10 yen, and then the yen goes up, against the dollar, and it's going to cost you 12 yen to pay back the loan. So it's not a good deal, even though it's at 0%. So you don't, as a speculator or investor, you don't take as much risk, because the yen's going up. You can't, it's better to borrow in a depreciating currency. And gold has tracked the yen, Japanese yen, inversely. So as the dollar's been going down recently against the yen, gold's been going up against the dollar. But since the middle of April, or more exactly April 17th, I'll show you what's been happening here. And I'll bring up the chart of the Japanese yen. You can see that the dollar, this is in terms of, that's the dollar versus the yen. So these are amounts of dollars. You see that amounts of yen, sorry. You see that the dollar since the end of last year has gone from 118 yen, and it had gotten down to almost 108. So that was the bottom for the dollar versus the yen. So, and you can see that since then we've gone up. Well, today, right now, we're like around 112.75. So you've seen that the dollar's gone up against the yen. Now you can buy a bit more yen against the dollar. So if you've been, borrowing yen to buy riskier assets, you're having to pay more. So that's probably why the stock market has stayed fairly steady, hasn't done anything as well, and bond markets haven't really gone anywhere. And you can see that there's an interesting trend line coming here, and we're right near that. We're right on that trend line. So are we going to turn around and the dollar's going to go back down against the yen, or is it going to keep going up? Difficult to say, but we're very close to that happening. We just need to keep an eye on it and see if it turns around, and if we drop back below 112 and then start moving lower in the dollar versus the yen. I guess geopolitically there's a lot of uncertainty still going on in the Korean Peninsula. So that tends to not help the yen because of Japan's location to the area. So now I'm going to bring up a chart of gold, and I'll start out with the the daily chart here, and you can see that the top in gold was also April 17th, 2017, and it was at $12.95, just like the bottom in the dollar against the yen came on that day, April 17th. So it's interesting that, you know, and I said in my previous video about the yen and gold that as long as the dollar keeps going up against the yen, gold is going to have a tough time, and we have had a tough time. And we've got the same kind of trend line as in the Japanese yen. So are we going to hold this line? Are we going to go further down, or is gold going to rebound as the dollar turns down against the yen? We'll have to see. You know, this is, yeah, just to show you what's happening, you know, in the bigger picture. I think sometimes you need to look at things like this, the technicals, not to get too emotional about things. And as I said, longer term, gold still, you know, the best. Gold and silver, you know, are still the best currencies to hold as a saver. You know, central banks hold gold, and you know, they don't trade it. But if you're a trader, you know, this could be an interesting, you know, juncture here in gold. And now I want to bring up a chart, a bit longer term chart of gold. It's this weekly chart, and I've brought back that famous trend line that comes from the all-time high in 2011 and the high in 2012. As you can see here, we broke above that line a few weeks ago, you know, just in the beginning of April, middle of April, we were breaking out. And yeah, we just dipped below it this week. That trend line there, you can see, is a very good support, just like the daily, you know, chart. So yeah, it's getting really interesting. Either way, we're gonna see gold make a move here, either continue lower or rebound. I don't know what will trigger it, but it looks like we're in an interesting juncture here. If we do break below that trend line, you know, definitively the support trend line, you know, upward sloping one, yeah, I guess 1200 will be the next target in gold. And if we break through that level, you know, the low there earlier this year, that's not a good technical, you know, move. So yeah, that's about it for now. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a thumbs up, share it far and wide, subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet, and yeah, I'll talk to you later. Bye.